the nuclear blast of cancer in our families and in our faith. Join me and my special guests for this important conversation today on Family Vision. Rob Rienow here with Visionary Family Ministries, back for part 2 of a very meaningful and personal conversation with two of my friends, Barrett and Jen Johnson. We began this conversation last week. If you missed that episode, you might want to push pause right now and go back and listen to get caught up, to get reacquainted with Barrett and Jen. But real quickly, Barrett and Jen, introduce yourselves for folks that are not going to push pause and go back. Give us the quick thumbnail of this nuclear blast that went off in your family in December, and then I want to keep our conversation going.
Yeah, nuclear blast. That's a good descriptor. I'm Barrett. This is Jennifer. We have a ministry called Info for Families, similar to what Rob and Amy do with Visionary Family. We, after 55 years of perfect health, I got diagnosed with cancer back in January after a surgery, and a spring filled with devastating radiation and chemotherapy and healing from that. We're still now just in the waiting right now, waiting to see in July what's going on with me, and is this cancer eradicated, or is there more things we have to fight? We're praying for the very, very best, but we're placing our lives, of course, in the hands of a good God who knows exactly what's going on with us. And so that's kind of been our journey. Last week's conversation was great about kind of our marriage and family issues, but would love to talk a little more about kind of what we've learned or maybe come to understand deeper regarding what God's up to in the midst of all this.
Yeah, I want to press into that. Like you said, last week, I asked you, how did this impact your marriage relationship, and what was the response of your children and grandchildren? I appreciated everything that you had to share. And let's talk about the impact with your relationship with Jesus. I think sometimes you hear about, people will say, well, there's Sunday school answers to things. And I have two reactions to those, because in one way we need the Sunday school answers, which are like these bedrock things of our faith. But in other times, I think that those end up being fairly pat or superficial in a way to sort of brush things off or not experience maybe the depth of the reality or the depth of emotions or depths of fear that may go along with something that would just be a natural response. So just jump in and share the last 6 months as it relates to your walk with Jesus, but also the present. From having family members and friends, we haven't had, Amy or I or our children have not had a journey like this before. But one thing that I hear over and over again is this journey of waiting for the next test and then waiting for the next results from that test and the next test, and the emotional and spiritual, I'll say, toll and process of all that. So go ahead. Where do you want to start?
That's a lot. I was a pastor for 25 years, and I've given those pat Sunday school answers, which are the truth of who God is and who he's in control and all those things. And I've walked through pain and grief and loss with literally probably thousands of people and shared those truths along the way. But we've kind of learned that obviously when you're in the middle of it, the pain and the grief and the difficulty, it's not that those answers are not sufficient. They're still the foundation of your life and the bedrock that you lie on, but it causes you to grapple with them at a level perhaps you've never grappled with them before. And I've come to the conclusion there's no easy way to explain the why bad things happen to good people. You know, why someone who's lived a great life and is faithful to God can have bad things happen. God and his sovereign will obviously is there. So we don't claim to have answers to those difficult questions, but we, in the midst of the pain and the grief and the ugliness, have been forced to say, God, what are you doing? And if anything, it forces you to get on your face before God more often and say, God, where are you? And where are you in the middle of this with us? And I've often kind of come to realize that when we are on our face before God, saying, God, I'd love answers, I'd love peace, I'd love to know what you're up to here. In that place where drawing close to God is exactly where God wants us to be, drawing close to him. You know, and if the result is not a clear answer from him or a clarity of exactly what's happening or what's going to happen, if the result is I'm closer to God, I think in some way God says to us, that's exactly what I want for anything, in the good and the bad and challenge of life, for you to draw closer to me, because that's what we were wired for and made for. And so my hope and prayer has been, and I think it's been that, struggling and wrestling with God through this, of being able to say, when you wrestle with God, you're intimate with him, you're close to him, you're right there with him. And that's what I've wanted to be all my life. And perhaps this has done that better than anything before. I don't know. Added that.
I heard someone say this before, and it's my goal in my walk with God, that if Jesus walked through my front door right now, what would you do? And I think there are chapters of my life in Christ where I would hide under the table or run out the back door. But I came to a point in my life several years ago, many years ago, where I just thought, if he walked through my door, I'd be like, so what's the answer to the question I was asking you today? Or what do you think about what Barrett and I are doing this coming weekend? Like, he would be my best friend, and I would welcome him into my front door as my best friend.
Just we're talking to him just 10 minutes earlier.
Because I was just talking to him. Yeah. I mean, I really, and I don't think I would have made it the way that I've made it as well as I have if I had not had a close relationship with God. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was welcoming him back in my life because we have cancer. I didn't feel like I was like, God, I need you in a new way because we have cancer. I was just like, Jesus, just talk to me. Jesus. Yeah. I mean, just Jesus, and so he would talk to me through his word. He would talk to me by dropping thoughts in my mind that aligned with his word. Someone would send me a song that aligned with his word for that day. I mean, that is where I just want everyone to know Jesus in a relational way, so that you're not just turning to him in a bad situation. Mm-hmm. So many people, I hear their prayer requests like, pray our house closes well, pray we find a house, pray, it's like, man, like, he does care about all that stuff, but he wants a constant ongoing relationship with you. And that's how I felt. Nothing really changed, but we started talking about cancer a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, why, Lord, when we have given our lives to you, we run a nonprofit. We are, we travel and speak, and are you going to take his voice away? And, his voice has never been gone. I mean, he couldn't talk for sections of his healing just because his throat hurt so terribly bad because of the radiation. But his voice was never truly taken away, and he saved the few words he could say a day for me at night, and we would get to talk. But I just said, God, I do need like a verse, and it's crazy. I'm not a huge social media fan, but I just love Psalms 91, 1-4. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. For it is he who delivers you from the snare of the trapper. And this is what got me, and from the deadly pestilence. And God said, just mark out pestilence and put cancer. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you may seek refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a bulwark. But that literally came on Instagram on a poster. A lady sells posters with God's word, and I was able to order it, and it is hanging over my mantle right now in my living room. And I told all the kids when it got hung and they walked in and saw it, this is what we're going to walk in. This is what we're going to pray.
Hey, let me add this and fortify that. I think the fact that you said this a minute ago, but let me clarify. The fact that we were walking with God and close to him and depending on him through the good days, bad days, through just the normal activity of our lives, made it so when crisis hits, we weren't scrambling to figure out where's God in this. Well, God, you're right there. You're with us. You've been with us faithfully through so many good days. You're not far away. You're near to us. You're here to walk through this challenges. And we had a lot of questions. We had a lot of struggles, but we knew he was there. And I think that's why you walk with God day by day. Is not the only reason you walk, but one of the benefits of walking with God day by day is that when the junk hits the fan, you're not having to jumpstart some dependence on him. It's the normal operation of your life. And that's the value of what you're describing, that constant day by day intimacy with God, that suddenly you can transfer or apply or step into this ugly with him.
And one of the things that I really experienced a lot in the beginning is just anger. And I just said, Jesus, I'm mad. Like, I'm mad. Like, we had a great spring speaking schedule and we had to get all of our friends to fill in for us. And I was so looking forward to that after getting our speaking engagements back since COVID and stuff. And I was just so disappointed because I had been so excited about all the ministry that God had lined up. That's one thing I will always offer my friends who go through cancer. If you want to just sit and be mad at God with me, I'll come over and sit with you.
That's maybe what we've learned, Bob, is we've seen if you will look for God in the middle of the stink, in the middle of the horrible things you're walking through, you will see God at work. You will, as long as you don't get so caught up in, and we have temptation to do this, get caught up in our poor, pitiful me, here's what we're going through, how awful this is, and it gets so internalized that we forget God's at work around us, He's working in our lives, in our family, in the community we live in. God, how can we continue to join you and see you at work and give you praise and glory for what you're doing?
It has not been fun, and I've been angry, and we've been horrible, and we have had terrible days. But the good days have far outweighed the horrible days. And we just, I don't know, just keep wanting to glorify Him through this all.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for everything you just shared. I've got one more question I want to ask you. How is this changed or affected? Barrett, you said both of you have all these years in ministry, pastoral ministry, ministry to families, ministered to many families dealing with sickness and death and all these scary things. Now you're the one dealing with serious illness. What has it taught you, or what's changed maybe in your view of what it looks like to come alongside another family that's had a nuclear bomb go off?
Yeah, I had to message my brother-in-law who's fought cancer for the last 6-7 years. Just message him and say, I've been a lousy brother in Christ and friend to you. I know now what you've been walking through for the better part of a decade. And I've done a pretty crummy job of hurting with you and just checking on you and loving you through all of you gone through. So I think some of the stuff we've done in ministry to others has been meaningful, but not, I don't know, heartfelt, or not really. We feel it at a level now we've never felt before. So it's given us a new empathy and understanding for people walking through difficult seasons like this. So that's changed, and you get a taste of that. So it's also, I think, given us more insights into what to do for people who are walking through. Jennifer mentioned sometimes you need to go and just sit in the stink with somebody and say, you know what, this is awful. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to try to encourage you and lift you up. We're just going to say, yeah, this is terrible. And maybe our only prayer is, God, help us. And that's the only thing we can pray right now. And so that's something I think we've learned and we'll kind of apply more. What's ministered to us really well through this time from other people in the body and stuff? What's been good?
I mean, people have just sent someone to our home to clean our home. I have cleaned my own house for 33 years now.
We've never had a house cleaner.
Yeah. She stayed for so many hours. I was so embarrassed. I was thinking, man, my house must really be dirty. People have put money in our mailbox with no name on it,
just pay your bills and our church has helped cover our mortgage. I mean, there's just been things that not necessarily we would go, here's what it is.
We would never
if you ask somebody who's going through, hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you? The person in the middle of this, like us right now, we can't even breathe. I've got no idea. And I feel weird saying, hey, would you come mow my lawn? Because I don't want to mow my grass right now. That just feels weird. So I think one lesson we've learned, if we want to bless somebody, just go and say, God, how can I bless them? And listen for the voice of God who loves us and wants to lead us and wants us to be hands and feet in those moments, and just go do something as opposed to waiting on them to tell you what to do, because people going through this don't know what to say or what to tell you what to do.
It's so easy to send an Uber card for food. We live in Georgia, but we're from Texas. And we just have the most amazing Texas friends, and they put together a food train of meal cards, and that has blessed us so much.
Can I say something? Here's something that came to mind. Social media can be a blessing and it can be a curse. It's so great to have Facebook or Instagram, whatever, to be able to connect with people and to be able to comment. And so when I post something and report on us and there's 200 comments, hey, I'm praying for you. Certainly we value that. We certainly value that. But there's that's good for acquaintances or folks in your church, whatever. There's certain people in your life that you're close to and that you've walked through life with that I want somebody to call me up and say, Barrett, let's talk. You want to shoulder cry on for a little bit, or how's your marriage, or how's it going? That I want to engage with on a deeper level. And sometimes it's too easy.
Rob did that with you. Like he texted
Yeah,
you.
right. Yeah, Rob, you're a great friend. Hey,
I mean,
how can I pray for you? What's going on?
It means so much more than just a comment on Facebook. For someone to pick up the phone and truly you get to hear their voice.
Yeah.
And I want to say to this that you can't mess up in whatever you say in that phone call.
That's true.
And if you are going through something, go ahead and forgive everybody who's going to say something that's kind of lopsided or maybe offensive.
Or awkward.
At least they are reaching out to you. At least they are calling you. At least they are saying something to you. It has been so painful for people to be silent.
Yeah.
I mean, if I went down my Facebook and looked at everybody who's never said a word since Barrett was diagnosed,
it's kind of painful, because you think people that you've walked through life with, that you've cared for and ministered to and things like that, and we're going through stuff, and you think, I haven't heard from that person. Do they care? And we know they care, but it makes your mind go to a dark place. When social media is there and you see people comment, well, who hasn't chimed in, who hasn't reached out, and that's so stupid and superficial that we go there.
We need to not rely on social media to encourage people through hard times. We need to pick up the phone. We need to send a card, snail mail, where you can read through that card. I'll tell you the sweetest thing. We're a part of a ministry called Prayer Care in Dallas, Fort Worth. And they got on and recorded prayers to pray over us.
Like an hour-long Zoom call of them having a prayer meeting for
20
us.
people praying over us, so that we could go back and listen to it over and over and over again. And just that and a envelope that arrived in our mailbox that had a $20 bill in it, and it was truly from a widow.
A widow's mite.
Has left us weeping on the floor. I mean,
just go get an ice cream on me.
What does it take to put a $20 bill in someone's mailbox? What does it take to just say, don't answer your phone, I'm going to leave a message, and just pray? I think even on Facebook, we should go out, and I do this, go ahead and write a prayer out for the person that you say you're praying for.
Here's what I'm praying.
Say, I'm praying for you, with a bunch of pray emojis. I don't know. I think
be substantive in terms of your ministry to others. And I think social media has enabled us to be a little bit shallow.
Yes.
And I think we need to kind of, what would I do if there was not social media available to me? Well, I'd pick up the phone, I'd send a card, whatever.
I think, I think it's so powerful what you're talking about right now. And I think, Barrett, that question might unlock it for people. If social media didn't exist, what would I do for my friend right now? That could... And I think however you answered that question, right, is going to push you toward that more substantive, deeper level of care. That's amazing. Well, Barrett and Jen, I am grateful for you, for your friendship, for your family, for your faith, for your ministry, for your willingness just to open your hearts here in a pretty free-flowing conversation and let all these folks in the Family Vision community into your life. Your resources, particularly your book, A Young Man's Guide to Awesomeness, has blessed my boys. But if people want to learn more about your ministry, how do they get connected with you?
I'll just go to infoforfamilies.com. We've got an iPhone, Android smartphone app as well. It's got all of our resources and talks and videos on there as well. So, but infoforfamilies.com is a place to go. And info stands for all the families who have all the perfectness, right? Imperfect, normal families only. INFO. That. So if you have got it all together, your family's perfect, your kids are, don't look us up. We've got nothing for you. But for all those families out there that are a little bit imperfect, come look us up.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to be doing my best to not use social media to continue to walk this journey with you over the miles with friendship, but we love you and appreciate you. And I know that you have hundreds, probably thousands of people around the world that are in prayer and care for you. And for everyone listening today, we're thrilled that you're a part of the Family Vision community, that you're listening, that you're watching on YouTube or Rumble. But we'd like to see you in person. We've got live conference events coming up this fall in Nashville, in Jacksonville, in Green Bay. We've got two great Chicago area events. One is a family worship night, September 16th, and then a brand new event we're doing on November 12th, a Thanksgiving ball, a formal event for your family. It's going to be very unique and special and fun. We're also going to share with you the mission and vision of Visionary Family Ministries, give you a chance to be a part of that. Coming up in 2024, conferences all over the country, but big events, VFM Family Israel Tour in March, and then our VFM weekend away at the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin, Dells, Wisconsin in June. Learn all about those live events at visionaryfam.com. And if this conversation with Barrett and Jen has been meaningful for you, please do take a minute and share these episodes with your friends and with your family. It takes like 5 seconds, and you could share their journey, share some of these scriptures that we've talked about that have given them hope. And you can help us. You can partner with us here at VFM, bring hope and help to families around the world. And we'd love to hear from you, as always, at podcast@visionaryfam.com. That's email podcast@visionaryfam.com. And we're already looking forward to our next time together with you on Family Vision.